Okay, so I got a response a few weeks ago to one of my two videos on the subject of science in the Quran. And obviously this was from a Muslim who wanted to believe that these things are proof that the book in question was dictated by a god. So I'll be talking to him for the remainder of this video. And let me first make it quite clear, I think this implies an insult of your prophet. You are basically calling him stupid, and claiming that he was A. incapable of listening to what the people around him told him, and B. unable to figure anything out for himself. I think you should have a little bit more respect for your own prophet than that. But that's just my opinion, of course. Now, let's move on to your video. The first claim that you make is that according to you, I asserted in my video that the Quran is a copy job from the great Greek philosophers' writings. And this is of course not true. I did not assert that. And Mohammed also copied a lot from the other desert religions, Christianity and Judaism in particular, as well as some bits and pieces from the native pagan religions of the area, plus of course all the stuff he simply pulled out of thin air. I have never claimed that he copied the entire book from the Greeks. So that is nothing but a straw man, and you either already know this and did it on purpose, or you simply weren't paying attention. And now you give your first reason for why I am wrong. There is no proof that Mohammed was well versed in ancient Greek medicine or teachings. Now this is of course bullshit, and if you'd bothered to click any of the links in the description of the video you're responding to, you would know this. I'll throw a name at you. Harith ibn Kalada. My pronunciation sucks, but I'm not Arab, so I hope you'll forgive me for that. Anyway, look it up. I dare you. This guy was one of the first Muslims. He was close to Muhammad, he's mentioned in the Hadiths, and he was a doctor who was trained in medicine in the Sassanid Empire. And, as we all know, the Sassanid doctors were well versed in Greek and Roman medicine. Your second reason, the stark contrast between the lifestyles of the ancient Greeks and those recommended in the Quran. Like I said, I never claimed that the entire Quran was a copy job from the Greeks. That was your straw man. Congratulations, you've now torn down your straw man. But that does nothing to invalidate my position, because my position and your straw man are not identical. Your third reason, why didn't he copy any of the stuff the Greeks got wrong? And that's a funny thing, because this is a very common Muslim defense against these points. And the funny thing is that Muslims completely overlook the fact that he did actually copy some of the stuff the Greeks got wrong. The embryology, for instance. The Quran clearly states in Surah 23, Ayah 14, that the human bones are formed first and only then clothed with flesh. And from modern embryology we know that this is wrong. We know that the muscles are there and fully functional before the skeleton is complete. We know that the bones are simply not there at all when the muscles start to form. And we know that Galen, a Greek doctor who lived 1,000 years before Mohammed, made the exact same mistake. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Now the reason Mohammed didn't copy any of the stuff you mention. As for the 4 elements, I don't know. He may have never heard of them, or he may have just not found it useful or interesting. Fire already contained a substance and just released by flame, again, same thing. He may not have heard of it, or he may not have cared. As for plants having a soul, that would clearly be stupid, because like all of the Abrahamic religions, he was obviously interested in having mankind be special and being the only animals in possession of a soul, especially as he, like most religious people, did not consider humans animals. That one's a no-brainer. Your final reason. Why the Greeks rather than the common knowledge of his own time? And once again, if you had been paying attention or bothered to do the slightest bit of research, you would already know this. The knowledge of the Greeks from 1,000 years earlier was the common knowledge of the day. It's not like Mohammed went, water's separated into 2 distinct flows where salt water meets fresh water, and everyone went, oh, I had no idea, you're so clever. No. Everyone went, well, yeah, that's true, we know that. This man is telling the truth, apparently. Or, well, the more gullible of them did, anyway. As for the Earth being egg-shaped, first of all, we all know that's a shoddy translation, and we also know that it's simply wrong. The Earth is not shaped like an egg, it's shaped like a ball. Secondly, contrary to popular belief, most people throughout the last 2,500 years at least, or at least anyone living in a place where you could actually see the horizon, like, say, the ocean or in a desert, already realized this for themselves. People often say that everyone laughed at Columbus when he said the earth was round. This is not true. What they did laugh about was his belief that it was about half the size that it actually is, because the size of the earth had been calculated long before then by both the Greeks and the Egyptians. Please, please, please try to do a little research, just a little. And after going through that, you then come to the conclusion that there is no other possible explanation than that the Quran must be the word of a God, whom we then must assume is Allah. And you see, this is my sole and only reason for addressing this issue in the first place, because if you want to base that conclusion solely on the so-called facts in the Quran, then you also have to conclude that Aristotle, Hippocrates, Galen, Anaxagoras, and all the other Greek scientists, doctors, and philosophers that I mentioned in my previous videos on this subject were also inspired by that God, because they knew all the same things, and then some. My conclusion is this: you cannot assume divine intervention even if these facts have been new or unknown to Mohammed, because that would mean that you also have to assume divine intervention for everyone else who figured out the same things. And I don't think you're willing to do that, now are you? You're quite welcome to believe that the Quran is the word of Allah. I really don't much care. But if you claim that this is in any way proof of that belief, then you are plainly and quite frankly wrong. Peace.